Let's just start now. And if there's like goofy bits at the beginning, I'm fine with having all of it included. A couple of things to mention in the interview. The bike is a 2022 Indian Chief, and it's a collaboration between Dice Magazine and Indian Motorcycle. Dean is an old friend of mine from many years ago, probably 10, maybe even 15 years ago I met Dean, focusing primarily on cars for the past sort of 5 to 10 years. And then this motorcycle was something that I was really excited to do because I wanted to go back into the world of bikes, and there's a lot of surface area on this. So I brought in my visual language that I've been developing over the past 5 years, where it's kind of like a bunch of fake brands. And ultimately those brands are a kind of exploration into a post-consumer society where, you know, if we no longer had this kind of capitalist structure of advertising in our faces, what would we that aesthetic with? Because personally I enjoy the kind of the visuals of walking through a city street where there's signage and advertising, but ultimately they're just force feeding us products to sell and lifestyles to buy into, and I'm not necessarily enthused by that. Prefer the idea that maybe those messages were a little bit more how do you say, like a little bit, not positive in the sense of live, laugh, love, but like just optimistic and an encouraging society to maybe be show a little more empathy towards people, and that hopefully in turn that empathy would then allow us to kind of think maybe about protecting the environment that we live in, because we want to protect it for the other people around us. So yeah, this bike is kind of, I guess, a culmination of all of those messages put onto one thing to feel like it looks like a motorsports kind of livery. But ultimately, if you dive a little deeper and look at some of those logos and messages that are on there, you know, ultimately it's not trying to sell you anything, it's just trying to promote positivity and optimism in society. Various hurdles we had to get over, and I'm glad we got there in the end. I suppose in many respects the way I work is not typical to the majority of painters. You know, the kind of automotive and motorcycle painters, they typically have a booth and high-grade equipment. My stuff's very budget, it's kind of user-friendly, it's art studio focused. I don't have a spray booth. I'm painting and clear coating in the back lot, you know, dust flying everywhere. I'm wet sanding for hours and hours and hours to remove said dust, but I find that entire process very therapeutic, and the organic nature of my work allows me to develop and add new assets. So initially I did supply Indian with a very basic render. The final outcome is radically different in my opinion, because as I started painting the bike I realized I wanted to add new things, and I work so much more fluidly with a physical item compared to designing on a computer. I find it very hard to design in 2D when it's ultimately going to be a 3D object. They had only positive things to say, zero input in regards to changes or notes, which is always pleasant to work with the client in that respect. You know, and I guess that the final outcome is always better when you allow the artist to do their own thing. So thanks guys for doing that.